Welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
You ready to get stoic with it today?
Absolutely.
All right, so today we are going to be diving deep into Stoicism,
Right.
but not in like a dry, dusty way,
Yeah.
more of a practical way.
Yes.
So we're going to be looking at excerpts from the Daily Stoic
Okay.
and Meditations by Marcus Aurelius,
Right.
and a few selections from Epictetus and Seneca.
Sound good.
And we're going to try to find some insights that resonate with modern life, even for those who maybe have never encountered Stoicism before.
I think one of the most fascinating things about Stoicism is that it's so popular
Yeah,
with such a diverse group of people,
that's right.
high achievers in all kinds of fields.
Yeah.
You've got rappers like LL Cool J,
Right?
Michelle Tafoya, the sports broadcaster.
Uh-huh.
And then going way back, you have
Sure.
people like Ambrose Bierce,
Yeah.
who championed the study of Stoicism.
I did not realize that.
And the painter, Eugene Delacroix, found solace in its principles. And of course, you have modern figures like Tim Ferriss, who calls it his ideal personal operating system.
Wow.
So it really seems to offer tools for navigating the challenges of modern life,
Yeah.
whatever your field is.
Okay, so it sounds like Stoicism is more than just an interesting historical artifact. It's something that people can actually use in their lives.
Exactly.
So let's get into it.
Oh.
What are some of the core principles of Stoicism?
Well, one of the most fundamental is this idea of the circle of control.
Okay.
And Epictetus explains this so well in Discourses.
Yeah.
He says, quote, "We control our reasoned choice and all acts that depend on that moral will. What's not under our control are the body and any of its parts, our possessions, parents, siblings, children, or country, anything with which we might associate."
Wow.
Close quote.
That is a really clear distinction
It is.
between what's in our control and what's not.
Yeah, it really seems to be saying that we should focus our energy on the things that we can actually influence.
So that's our thoughts, our
Yeah.
actions, our choices.
Exactly.
Not stressing over the things that we can't control.
That's right.
So instead of getting frustrated
Yeah.
when your flight gets delayed,
Right.
you can use that time productively.
Exactly.
Or instead of just fuming and fretting.
Yeah. You choose how you're going to respond
Right.
to that situation that's outside of your control.
Oh, that's so interesting because I
Yeah.
think so many people today, they feel like they're at the mercy of their circumstances.
Yeah.
And their emotions are constantly being dictated by outside forces.
That's right.
But this is saying, no, you can actually take control of how you respond to things.
You can take control of your emotional thermostat
Yes.
instead of letting external circumstances
Yes.
constantly adjust it for you.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah,
That's a really powerful image.
it is.
So we've talked about controlling our reactions,
Right.
finding contentment. But what about desire and contentment?
Right.
How does that play out in a world where we're constantly
Yeah.
being told that we need to want more,
Sure.
achieve more, be more?
Well, the Stoics had a fascinating perspective
Okay.
on wealth and freedom.
All right.
They said that you can achieve them in one of two ways,
Okay.
either by getting everything you want
Okay.
or by wanting everything you have.
Oh, wow.
That's a real paradigm shift.
It is, because
That's
it's like they were addressing this
Yeah.
trap of consumerism that
Yeah.
we all fall into today.
That's right.
We're always chasing more, more, more.
Exactly. And Epictetus
Yeah.
really captured this beautifully when he said,
Okay.
quote, "Freedom isn't secured by filling up on your heart's desire, but by removing your desire."
Wow.
Close quote.
Okay, so it's not about getting more. It's about
finding
appreciating what you have.
contentment within
Yes.
rather than chasing external validation.
This is making me rethink a lot of my own assumptions because
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always chasing the next goal, the next achievement, the next thing to buy.
Yes.
And what if true freedom lies in appreciating what I already have?
That's the question the Stoics encouraged us to ask.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, what if true satisfaction comes not from acquiring more, but from cultivating a deeper appreciation
Yeah.
for the present moment
Wow.
and what we already possess?
This is great stuff.
Good.
I'm really enjoying this conversation.
All right, well, let's move on to another
Yeah.
key concept.
Okay.
What about pleasure and pain?
Okay, so do the Stoics just
Right.
deny all their emotions?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about understanding them
Okay.
and choosing how you respond to them.
Okay.
So how did they view pleasure? They acknowledge that it can feel good,
Right.
but they also warned against becoming enslaved by it.
Yeah.
Think about the classic example of
Right.
overindulging in food or drink.
Mm-hmm.
That initial pleasure can very quickly turn into
Right.
regret.
Yeah. Or even a form of punishment.
Or even punishment.
Yes.
If you let it control you.
Ah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
So it's about finding a balance
Yeah.
between enjoying pleasure,
Yes.
but not letting it
That's right.
take over your life.
Exactly. And the Daily Stoic puts it this way, quote, "Whenever you get an impression of some pleasure, as with any impression, guard yourself from being carried away by it. Let it await your action. Give yourself a pause. After that, bring to mind both times, first, when you have enjoyed the pleasure, and later, when you will regret it and hate yourself. Then compare to those the joy and satisfaction you'd feel for abstaining altogether. However, if a seemingly appropriate time arises to act on it, don't be overcome by its comfort, pleasantness, and allure. But against all of this, how much better the consciousness of conquering it."
Wow.
Close quote.
So it's not about being a killjoy. It's about being mindful and considering the potential consequences.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to,
That's right.
seemingly harmless indulgences.
Yeah.
So like having that second piece of cake
Yeah.
maybe isn't the best idea.
Or that third glass of wine.
Yeah. Or that fourth hour
Exactly.
of scrolling on social media.
Yeah, or that fifth
Ugh.
hour of binge watching Netflix.
Right.
It's about
It's about making
conscious choices.
Yes.
That align with your values.
And your long-term well-being.
And your long-term well-being.
Not just reacting to every fleeting desire
Yeah, that's right.
that pops into your head.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so we've talked about controlling our reactions,
Right.
finding contentment,
Uh-huh.
balancing pleasure.
Okay.
But what about the heavier stuff?
Sure.
What do the Stoics have to say about death?
That's a great question.
Because that's something that I think a lot of people are afraid of.
Yes.
And try to avoid thinking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the Stoics had a very unique
Okay.
perspective on death.
Right.
Instead of fearing it,
Okay.
they encouraged accepting it
Wow.
as a natural part of life.
Okay, that sounds a little morbid
Oh,
at first, but I'm curious.
Okay.
How can accepting death
Right.
be anything but depressing?
Well, it might seem counterintuitive,
Okay.
but the Stoics believed that meditating on your own mortality could actually be invigorating
Okay.
because it helps you to clarify
Right.
what truly matters in life
Okay.
and empowers you to live fully while you can.
So it's like a wake-up call.
Exactly.
Reminding you that
Yeah.
you know your time is precious
That's right.
and you shouldn't waste it on trivial things.
Marcus Aurelius,
Okay.
the Roman emperor
Uh-huh.
and Stoic philosopher,
Right.
had some really powerful words on this. He said, quote, "Within 10 days, if so happen, thou shalt be esteemed a god of them, who now, if thou shalt return to the dogmata and to the honoring of reason, will esteem of thee no better than of a mere brute and of an ape."
Wow.
Close quote.
So he's saying,
Yeah.
live in accordance with reason and virtue,
Yeah.
knowing that even those who seem to be living carefree lives,
Right.
they're all going to face death eventually.
That's right. Death is the great equalizer.
Yes.
And he also reminds us that death is
Right.
a natural part of the universe.
Okay.
Just like the changing seasons or the cycle of day and night. So
Yeah.
it's not something to be feared, but rather a natural transition
Okay.
from one state of being to another.
Okay, so when you put it that way,
Yeah,
it doesn't sound so scary anymore.
Right.
It's just part of the natural order of things.
exactly.
Okay, and this is really shifting my perspective on things because I think a lot of times we see death as
Yeah,
this like enemy to be fought against.
that's right.
But what if we saw it as just a natural part of life's progression?
Exactly. And here's another quote from Marcus Aurelius
Okay.
that beautifully captures this idea.
Right.
Quote, "Let this be thy only joy and thy only comfort from one sociable kind action without intermission to pass unto another, God being ever in thy mind."
Wow.
Close quote.
So it's not about accumulating
No.
wealth or achieving some big goal. It's about living a virtuous life,
Living a virtuous life
being kind to others.
and being kind to others.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Alba.
It really speaks to the heart of Stoic philosophy.
Uh-huh.
Finding meaning in the present moment.
Yeah.
Doing good for others.
Yeah.
And living in accordance with nature.
I think that's something that
Yeah.
a lot of people are searching for today.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
But I'm curious about how Stoicism views self-awareness and education. Is it all about just reading, ancient texts?
Well, while studying the writings of Stoic philosophers is valuable, Stoicism really emphasizes self-knowledge and continuous learning as crucial for living a virtuous life.
So it's not enough to just read about it.
That's right.
You have to actually
internalize it
and apply it.
And apply it to your own life.
I can see how that could be challenging.
It can be very challenging.
Because it's easy to just...
Yes, it's easy to fall into routines.
Yeah, to fall into routines.
And thought patterns.
And thought patterns without ever stopping.
Without ever questioning why we do the things we do.
To ask why.
Or think the way we think.
Yeah.
That's why Stoicism
right.
encourages us to cultivate self-reflection, as Seneca puts it.
Okay.
Quote, "Believe me, it's better to produce the balance sheet of your own life than that of the grain market."
Okay.
Close quote.
So he's saying it's more important to understand yourself than to be an expert.
That's right.
In trivial matters.
Exactly.
They're in a world of information overload.
Yes.
It's easy to lose sight of.
It's easy to lose sight of what's truly important.
What's truly important, which is our own
inner world.
Inner world.
Yes.
And I think I'm definitely guilty of that.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah, I get caught up in, the hustle and bustle in life.
Yeah.
And I don't make enough time for...
You don't make enough time for introspection.
Introspection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy to become an expert in your career.
Right.
Or some hobby.
Yeah. Or some hobby.
While neglecting
self-knowledge.
Self-knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's what Stoicism challenges us to do.
Right.
To prioritize self-knowledge and continuous learning.
So it's not just about intellectual knowledge.
It's about
applying that knowledge to become a better person.
Exactly. It's about translating knowledge into wisdom and action.
This is great.
Good.
I'm really enjoying this.
Okay, so we've talked about self-awareness, education.
Yeah.
But what about how we deal with others?
Okay, let's talk about that.
All right.
What does Stoicism have to say
Whoa.
about navigating the complexities of human relationships?
One of the most radical ideas in Stoicism,
and
I think it's incredibly relevant today, is this principle that no one does wrong on purpose.
Really, no one?
As articulated by Socrates.
Oh, that's hard to believe.
I know, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider.
Yeah, when you consider.
Some of the terrible things people do to each other. But the Stoics believe that everyone is acting according to what they perceive.
Oh, so they might be...
to be good or right.
Misguided.
Even if their actions are ultimately harmful.
So it's about trying to understand...
It's about where people are coming from.
Trying to understand where they're coming from.
Even when they're behaving badly. Even when they're behaving badly.
Okay, because I think so often we're so quick to judge.
We are very quick to judge and condemn others.
Right.
Without taking the time to understand.
Without really understanding
their motivations.
Their motivations.
Yeah. And Marcus Aurelius offers a powerful reminder in his Meditations.
Okay.
He says, quote, "Whenever you take offense at someone's wrongdoing, immediately turn to your own similar failings, such as seeing money as good or pleasure or a little fame, whatever form it takes.
Yeah.
By thinking on this, you'll quickly forget your anger, considering also what compels them. For what else could they do? Or if you were able to remove their compulsion."
Wow.
Close quote.
So it's all about looking in the mirror.
Yes.
Before you judge someone else.
Exactly.
And considering your own shortcoming.
Cultivating empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
Instead of resorting to anger or judgment.
Okay, so even when we're dealing with difficult people.
Yeah.
Stoicism encourages us.
Stoicism encourages us
to approach them with compassion and a willingness to understand.
And a willingness to understand.
Their perspective.
That's right.
This is a much more compassionate and forgiving approach.
It is.
Than I'm used to.
Yeah.
But I can see how it could lead.
It could lead to
greater peace of mind.
Greater peace of mind and stronger relationships.
Yeah. Okay, I love it. I love it.
Good.
So we've covered so much.
I know we have.
You mentioned earlier that Stoicism has been really popular among high achievers.
It is.
I'm starting to see why.
Yeah.
Because all these principles that we've been talking about,
right,
focusing on what you can control finding contentment.
Yeah.
Approaching challenges.
Approaching challenges with a calm and rational mind.
Yeah.
These are all qualities
that could lead to success.
that can contribute to success in any field.
In any field.
Yeah.
It's like
a mental toolkit.
Mental toolkit.
For success.
Yeah.
Yeah, it provides a framework for navigating challenges, managing your emotions.
Right.
Making decisions that are aligned with your values.
I love it.
All essential skills
yes.
for achieving your goals.
Whether you're an athlete.
Whether you're an athlete.
You're an entrepreneur.
Or just someone striving.
Or just someone striving.
For a more fulfilling life.
For a more fulfilling life.
Before we move on.
Okay.
I want to touch on one more thing.
Sure.
That really stood out in our sources.
Right.
Marcus Aurelius talks about what he calls the 4 habits of the Stoic mind.
Yes. And this is where we see Marcus Aurelius really putting Stoicism into action.
Okay.
You know, he was less interested in these sort of theoretical debates.
Right.
And more focused on how to apply these Stoic principles.
Yeah, like in a practical way.
To everyday life. And I think these 4 habits are really a powerful guide.
They are a powerful guide.
For navigating
the complexities of modern life.
They really are.
Can you walk us through them? Of course. So the first habit is to accept nothing false or uncertain.
Okay.
And this is especially relevant today.
Yeah.
With the constant influx of information and misinformation.
And misinformation.
That we face.
Yeah, like fake news.
Fake news, social media echo chambers.
Social media echo chambers.
No, it's about being discerning.
Okay, so questioning your sources.
Questioning your sources.
And not just blindly.
Accepting everything you see online.
Accepting everything you hear or read.
It's about developing critical thinking skills.
It is about developing critical thinking skills.
Though important in today's world.
It is absolutely essential.
Okay, what's the second habit?
All right, the second habit is to direct impulses only to acts.
Okay.
For the common good.
For the common good. So
and this speaks to
considering the impact of your actions.
Yeah, it speaks to the Stoic emphasis on virtue.
Okay.
Living in harmony with others.
Choosing to act in ways that benefit the greater good.
That's a powerful reminder because I feel like we live in a world that's so dominated by self-interest.
Self-interested.
Yeah. So it's about recognizing that we're all interconnected.
We are all interconnected.
Okay, love that. What's the third habit?
The third habit is to limit desires and aversions.
Okay.
To what's within your power.
What's within your power. So, again, this goes back to...
This brings us right back.
The circle of control.
To the circle of control.
Okay.
Focusing your energy on what you can influence.
Right.
Letting go of the things.
The things that are outside your control.
That you can't change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about choosing to focus.
It's about choosing to focus.
On your thoughts.
On your thoughts.
Your actions.
Your reactions.
It's your reactions.
Instead of getting caught up.
You
know, all the external circumstances.
The external circumstances?
Yeah.
Or the behavior of others.
Yes.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. And the fourth habit.
Okay. The fourth habit.
This one I think might be a little tough for some people.
This one can be a little challenging.
Yeah.
The fourth habit is to embrace everything nature assigns you.
Oh.
So this speaks to the Stoic belief in accepting what we cannot change.
Okay.
And finding meaning. Even in challenging experiences.
So it's about finding the strength.
It is about
and resilience.
Finding the strength and resilience.
To face adversity with grace.
Adversity with grace.
Even when life throws you curveballs.
Even when life throws you curveballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. These 4 habits.
Yeah.
When practiced consistently.
They can help to cultivate
a
more peaceful,
purposeful,
and fulfilling life.
I love it.
Yeah. It's amazing how Marcus Aurelius, you know, all those centuries ago, was giving us a roadmap for dealing with the specific challenges of our time.
Of modern life.
Yeah. It's a testament to the enduring wisdom of Stoicism.
Yes.
You know, it's practical guidance for living a good life.
Yes.
No matter what challenges we face.
I'm so glad we did this deep dive today.
Me too.
I'm learning a lot.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, and I think our listeners are too.
I hope so.
So we're going to continue this conversation.
We are.
In the next part of this episode, and we'll delve even deeper. Into the practical application. Of these principles. And explore how you can incorporate Stoic
wisdom.
Into your own daily life. I'm excited.
Me too.
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so we've talked about the circle of control, finding contentment, the Stoic perspective on death.
Right.
But how does all this translate into, like, actually living a Stoic life?
That's a great question.
Is it just about reading the works of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca?
Right.
Or is there something
you're right.
more active involved?
It's not just a philosophy that you read about. It's about putting those ideas into practice.
So how do you do Stoicism?
Right.
What does that active part look like?
Which refers to discipline training. Designed to develop virtue.
Okay, so it's like physical training, but for the mind and spirit.
Like an athlete.
Okay.
Training for the Olympics.
Right.
Or a martial artist. Practicing their forms.
Right.
They don't just read about their craft. They actually engage in it.
Yeah.
They hone their skills to constant effort.
Okay, so just like an athlete doesn't become a champion overnight.
That's right.
You don't just magically embody.
You don't just wake up one day and you're a Stoic.
Stoic principles.
Right.
It takes consistent practice.
It's consistent practice. And it's not about becoming some kind of emotionless superhuman.
Right.
It's about training your mind to respond to challenges in a way that aligns with your values.
So it's like building mental muscle.
Precisely. You're strengthening your ability to manage your emotions.
Okay.
Make wise choices.
Right.
And stick to your principles, even when things get tough.
So we need to actively train our minds.
Yes.
What are some specific techniques or exercises?
Well, one of the most fundamental Stoic practices is focusing on the present moment.
Okay, that sounds a lot like mindfulness.
Yes.
Which is really popular these days.
Yeah.
Is there a connection there?
Definitely. So mindfulness as a formal practice has roots in Buddhism. But the Stoics were emphasizing this importance of being present long before modern mindfulness techniques became popular.
So how does focusing on the present moment help us live a more Stoic life?
Well, the Stoics believe that a lot of our suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
Okay. I can relate to that.
Yeah, when we fixate on things that are outside of our control.
Yeah, I'm always replaying past mistakes or worrying about things that might never happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a common human experience.
Right.
But the Stoics teach us to break free from that cycle of rumination by bringing our attention back to the here and now.
So it's about shifting our focus from what if and if only
what is
to what is.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
By focusing on the present moment, we can fully engage with life as it unfolds, appreciate the simple things, respond to challenges with greater clarity.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's like hitting the pause button on your worries.
Yeah.
And just allowing yourself to simply be present.
And the more you practice this.
And the more you practice this,
the easier it becomes.
The easier it becomes to cultivate that sense of peace and equanimity.
Even in the face of adversity.
Even when faced with adversity.
This could be like a powerful antidote.
It could be.
To the stress and anxiety that so many people feel today.
Absolutely.
Are there any specific techniques?
There are.
That the Stoics recommended?
They suggest things like mindful breathing exercises. Focusing on your senses. Or taking a moment to appreciate the beauty of nature. These are all ways to gently bring your attention back to the present when your mind starts to wander.
These are all things that anyone can incorporate into their day.
Exactly.
Regardless of their background.
That's right.
It's like having practical tools for managing your mind.
That's exactly what Stoicism is all about.
Yeah.
It's a philosophy that's accessible to everyone. It provides a framework for a more virtuous, meaningful life.
It's not just an ancient philosophy. No.
It's a set of tools.
It's a set of tools.
For navigating the challenges.
Along the challenges of life, no matter what era you live in.
No matter what era you live in.
Yeah.
It's timeless wisdom.
It is timeless wisdom.
It applies to any situation.
Any situation.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of practice, being present. But what about that idea of Stoicism being a philosophy of action?
Right.
How do we take these mental exercises and actually, like, live them out?
Well, remember ascesis.
Yeah.
It's not just about mental exercises.
Yeah.
It's about putting those Stoic principles into action in your daily life.
Okay.
Remember that quote from Seneca?
Yeah.
He says, quote, "Many words have been spoken. I'll tell you how people can prove their words to be their own by putting into practice what they've been preaching."
Okay.
Close quote. He was all about walking the walk.
Right.
not just talking the talk.
So it's not enough to just think about Stoicism? No, it's not enough to just think about it.
Right.
You have to live it out.
You have to live it out.
You have to live it out.
What does that look like in everyday life?
Well, it could be as simple as choosing to respond to a frustrating situation with patience rather than anger.
Okay.
Or it could be about sticking to your commitments.
Okay.
Even when you don't feel like it.
Right.
Or maybe it's about speaking up for what you believe in.
Okay.
Even when it's unpopular.
So aligning your actions with your values.
Aligning your actions with your values.
Even when it's difficult.
Even when it's difficult, and doing it consistently.
Yeah.
As a way of life.
So it's about
making that choice.
Making the choice to act virtuously.
To act virtuously even in those seemingly small, insignificant moments.
Okay, so Stoicism is a framework for making better choices.
Yeah, it's about being...
in all aspects of life.
Intentional.
It's about being intentional.
Thoughtful. And principled in everything you do.
Okay, so we've covered so much.
We have.
Is there a way to, like, sum up the essence of Stoicism in a way that's memorable and actionable?
How about this? Stoicism is about accepting what you can't control.
Okay.
Taking responsibility for what you can. And finding meaning and purpose in living a virtuous life.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
It's simple yet profound.
But I think it captures the core of what Stoicism is all about.
And it reminds us that it's not some esoteric philosophy.
It's not just for academics.
Just for academics.
It's a practical guide for anyone.
A practical guide.
Seeking a better life.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power and the relevance.
I'm glad to hear that.
Of Stoicism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it can benefit anyone.
I agree.
Whether they're striving for great success or just looking for a path to greater peace and fulfillment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It offers a timeless roadmap for navigating the complexities of life and developing a mindset that leads to greater resilience, happiness, and meaning.
I'm so glad we had this conversation today. I'm really eager to hear your final thoughts on what Stoicism has to offer for the modern doer.
Okay.
So what can our listener take away from all this to apply to their own life?
Well, you know, as we've been talking about all this, one story from Seneca keeps coming to mind.
Right.
And I think it's a perfect analogy for how Stoics approach life.
Okay.
Especially, you know, for those driven to achieve and to make a difference.
Okay, Seneca was a master storyteller, so...
It was.
Lay it on me.
Okay. So he compares the way people approach wealth and security to investors.
Okay.
So some people... they hoard their wealth.
Okay.
They're terrified of losing any of it.
Okay.
Right? Others are reckless gamblers.
Okay.
Always chasing the next big win, but risking everything in the process.
Yeah. So one's paralyzed by fear.
Exactly.
The other one by impulsivity.
Yeah.
Neither one sounds like a winning strategy.
No, and that's where Seneca introduces this third type of investor.
Okay.
The one who invests in themselves.
Yeah.
They focus on developing their character, their wisdom, their virtue.
So instead of external wealth...
Yeah, they see these qualities as the most valuable and resilient assets.
So their inner world is what they're focused on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He argued that these inner qualities are immune to external forces.
Oh, I like that.
You know, they can't be taken away from you, no matter what life throws your way.
So no matter what's happening on the outside, you have this...
You have this inner strength. This inner stability.
Inner strength.
Yeah.
Like a fortress.
Like a fortress that can withstand any storm.
Yes. Love it.
And Seneca's own life is a great example of this.
Right.
He was a wealthy advisor to Emperor Nero.
Right.
But as Nero became more tyrannical, Seneca realized that his wealth, his position, were ultimately fragile.
Right.
Unreliable.
So even someone in a position of power.
Yes, even someone in a position of power.
Like Seneca.
Like Seneca realized that true strength comes from within.
Okay.
Not from external circumstances.
So what did he do?
Well, he offered Nero all of his wealth.
Wow.
All of his possessions in exchange for his freedom.
That's a bold move.
It was a bold move. And it showed that he understood that true freedom comes from a clear conscience and a strong character. Not from material things.
So he was willing to give up.
He was willing to give up everything.
All his material wealth. To stay true to himself.
To stay true to himself.
To his values.
And to his values.
I love that story.
Yeah, it really highlights that Stoic belief. That true wealth resides not in possessions.
Right.
but in the cultivation of virtue and wisdom.
Okay.
And those are the assets that no one can take from you. That's the source of strength that sees you through any challenge.
And that's such a relevant message today.
It is.
Especially in a world that often equates success with money and external validation.
Money and external validation, yeah.
Okay. So it's a reminder?
It's a reminder.
That the most important investment we can make is in ourselves.
Is in ourselves.
And becoming the best versions of ourselves possible.
Yeah, and becoming better human beings.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, and unlike money and possessions, these inner qualities only appreciate in value over time.
Yeah, it's like
compound interest.
Compound interest for your life.
For your life and for the lives of those around you.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
We've explored the core of Stoicism, from the circle of control to the importance of virtue, living in harmony with nature.
Right.
We've learned practical techniques like focusing on the present moment.
Focusing on the present moment.
The power of ascesis. Right. Disciplined practice of Stoicism.
The disciplined practice of Stoicism.
And now this idea of investing in yourself.
Yeah, investing in yourself as the most valuable asset.
As the most valuable asset you have.
You have.
I love it.
Yeah, it's been a really fascinating journey.
It has.
Through these ideas.
Yeah.
And I hope our listener is feeling inspired.
Inspired to maybe...
to take these insights to heart.
Yeah.
And to consider how they might integrate Stoic wisdom into their own life.
I know, I am.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
As we wrap up, we keep coming back to that Stoic emphasis on living a life of purpose and meaning.
Of purpose and meaning, yes.
It's not just about gritting your teeth, enduring hardship.
No, it's about...
It's about making a positive impact.
It's about striving to make a positive impact.
Even in small ways.
Even in small ways.
Right.
Yeah, the Stoics believe that we all have a part to play in the grand scheme of things. And our purpose is to live virtuously.
Okay.
And contribute to the common good.
So it's not about...
It's not about withdrawing
from the world.
From the world or becoming indifferent.
Or becoming indifferent to it.
It's about engaging with the world.
Okay.
In a meaningful and compassionate way.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
This has been such a rich and a thought-provoking conversation.
It has been a pleasure.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on life.
Good.
And some very practical tools for navigating whatever comes my way.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I think our listeners feel the same way.
I hope so.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
On this deep dive into Stoicism.
We hope you found it as insightful and engaging as we did.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.